began in 1947 as the Eastern Association for Computing Machinery at Columbia University, only a year after the announcement of ENIAC, short for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, a machine that did take up an entire room. In 1948, the Eastern got dropped. It was now the Association for Computing Machinery, or ACM for short. Its founders knew they were onto something. Inspired by ENIAC, their visions for these machines called computers led them to develop an organization to nurture this new science and the people who were part of it. Their numbers would grow, their objectives broadened, and ACM would play a vital role in the revolution brought on by computing. In 1997, 50 years after computing machines filled entire rooms, ACM held an epic conference with visionary speakers. An expansive exposition of computing technology, published a book for the event, and boldly predicted what the next 50 years of computing might look like. Today, a quarter century later, ACM is an international organization. Over 100,000 members in over 190 countries, whose mission is to advance computing as a science and profession for all.
Research is the lifeblood of computing. It feeds computing's progress. In 1954, ACM released the Journal of the ACM, its first publication to foster information exchange. Today, ACM publishes almost 100 journals, transactions, magazines, and newsletters that cover all aspects of computer science, headlined by its flagship, Communications of the ACM. ACM recognized how the field was evolving. In order to foster close cooperation among ACM members whose main interest was in more specialized aspects of computing, it chartered special interest groups to address specific technical areas. These SIGs began to hold conferences, bringing researchers together to share information. As of 2022, there are 16 SIGs 50 years or older. They include SIG Micro, SIG MIS, SIG DA, SIG AI, SIG Plan, SIG ACT, SIG C, SIG Graph, SIG Ops, SIG Com, SIG UX, SIG IR, SIG Metrics, SIG Access, SIG Arch, and SIGCAS. Today, the SIG sponsor and co-sponsor the premier research conferences for their members, up to 200 each year. In 1998, driven by the need to archive rapidly expanding research results, ACM launched its crown jewel, the ACM Digital Library, to make research information accessible to institutions around the world. With an eye to the future, ACM's next target for the library is to be open by 2025.
Early on, ACM realized the importance of technical excellence to develop the profession. Thus, it began a robust awards program. In 1966, it established the ACM AM Turing Award, named in honor of British mathematician Alan M. Turing. Soon to be referred to as the Nobel Prize of Computing, the award's initial $1,000 prize has now become $1 million. In its annual awards ceremony, ACM presents more than 20 awards in many categories. The SIGs confer over 100. In 1993, it established the ACM Fellows Program to honor the top 1% of membership for their accomplishments in technology and service to the computing community. In 2006, distinguished and senior advanced member grades were set up for those who would display exceptional performance and leadership. Together, all these honors have played a key role in advancing the discipline of computing, the professionalism of ACM members, and communicating their accomplishments to the general public.
From the 1960s on, computer technology evolved rapidly. With that came a pressing need to adapt education systems to teach their students about computing. To address this, ACM released curriculum recommendations in related areas and continues to do so today. Aware of the vital role that teachers play in the process, in 2005, ACM set up the Computer Science Teachers Association to support K-12 science teachers worldwide. In 2007, it would establish the Education Policy Committee, which was instrumental in getting computer science recognized in K-12 education. Dissemination of research, recognition of technical excellence by computing professionals and communicating it to the general public, and making inroads in computing education. These are among the many ways that ACM advances computing as a science and the professionals who practice it.
Educators, researchers, software and hardware developers, systems engineers, project managers, data scientists, the ACM professional community ranges far and wide. Diversity and inclusion, therefore, are essential elements to the ACM's mission. In 1993, ACM created the Committee on the Status of Women and Minorities in Computing. Women's involvement grew exponentially. In 1996, ACM and the Computing Research Association created the Coalition to Diversify Computing, an organization founded on the belief that the computing workforce is stronger when it is more diverse. ACM is also a sponsor of the Richard Tapia Celebration of Diversity in Computing Conference. Named for acclaimed scientist Richard Tapia, it promotes diversity, connects computing undergraduates and graduate students, faculty, researchers, and professionals in computing from all backgrounds and ethnicities. ACM also saw the need to serve a broader constituency. The Practitioners Board was set up to serve the needs of practitioners. Q was launched, geared to software engineers and the challenges they face. In 2008, ACM would expand its effort to become truly international. Councils were formed in Europe, China, and India. Today, over 50% of ACM members reside outside of North America. In 2018, ACM created the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council to reinforce its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in what has become the world's largest computing professional society. Realizing, too, how role models and mentors help sustain computing's progress, ACM Turing Laureates and ACM Prize in Computing Laureates began participation in the Heidelberg Forum, the prestigious networking event for mathematicians and computer scientists. There, young scholars the world over meet and interact with leaders in their scientific fields, an essential exchange for the sustainability of the profession.
In keeping with its commitment to the computing community, ACM has consistently provided guidance for scientific inquiry. In 1966, it adopted guidelines for professional conduct in information processing. In 1984, it established the ACM Forum on Computer Systems Risk and Reliability. And in 1990, developed the Software Engineering Code of Ethics.
That same attitude of care and concern underscores ACM's commitment to society. With its growing global reach, ACM recognizes its responsibility to inform the general public about how computing influences them and develop sound policy recommendations for how it is put to work. In matters of global policy, ACM's Technology Policy Council oversees these efforts. The U.S. Technology Committee interacts with U.S. leaders on policy issues, and ACM's Europe Technology Policy Committee does likewise on the continent. Focused on issues that vitally affect society, they function as experienced, learned voices to help governments and institutions deal with the impact of computing technology. And guiding all of these efforts is adherence to the shared set of values codified in ACM's Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, adopted by many organizations worldwide. "75 years ago, the two individuals who had designed and constructed the revolutionary ENIAC would each play roles in the genesis of ACM. John William Mauchly became one of its original founders.
John Presper Eckert became its first vice president and a future president. Their contributions would be followed by countless others from ACM members over the next 7.5 decades. The people who would make the Association for Computing Machinery what it is today. Over 100,000 members in over 190 countries. Over 1,000 chapters. 38 special interest groups. Over 250 ACM-sponsored conferences and workshops annually with a worldwide attendance of over 75,000. Scores of publications with nearly 37 million downloads. An expanding digital library of 3 million works and 4 to 6 million users. From inception to its emergence as an international organization, ACM has enjoyed 75 years of accomplishment and service to computing. And the best is yet to come.